Hello folks, welcome to the Whiskered Woodcarver. I'm Jeff C. And this is the show where I carve for 30 minutes and talk with my friends. So yeah, I am a visual marketing and live video, I guess, consultant who helps people with this kind of setup. So if you have questions about this, make sure you let me know. And yeah, so we usually have a topic we talk about. And this is kind of a time that I kind of wind up and end up my day, kind of relaxing a little bit, but being able to talk with my friends helps a lot. So, yeah, so I wanted to bring up a comment real quick from my pal Joshua Kennedy. He goes, how do you deal with the stress when something goes wrong? I mean, this woodworking-wise. Well, a lot of things have gone wrong. You know, I've talked about before on the show where I've actually sliced my hand open. That wasn't good. That was a mistake. That cut my carving down for a couple 6 weeks, I think. And so, if you make a mistake on a piece of wood, you make it work. You always learn something from it. So yeah, that's how I deal with stress of wood carving. But let's go over to the carving cam and get started. All right, so we're getting ready for painting day, which means I have found a lot of people. I don't like to drag out my paints for everything. So this is the first piece I carved. We've been working on that. This is the kind of the finished piece here. You can kind of see that where we've added the details in the beard, and it's ready to be painted. Well, I happened to find another piece in my thing. I've started projects that I was camping or something, and I left those in my bag. So we're kind of finish this one up to get painted. And also, if we have time, I've got another penguin that I just need to put texture on the hat and around here, and that one will be ready to paint pretty much as well too. So we got some stuff to do, but as always, we start with let's see here. Put on my glove and my safety apparatus. Get my thumb guard here. Joshua says he whips it across the shop. That's probably not the best way to handle your stress and frustration, but as long as you don't hit anybody, I guess. So we're just gonna sharpen up these blades real quick, just like this. My small one, which I'll probably use first. And these are knives from Helvey. I don't know if you can get them right now. You used to be able to get them on Amazon and from their website, but with everything going the way it is, I don't know. So, but they're great knives. You can use flex cut knives. I do know they sell those on Amazon. But there's some great things. I need to put a list together for people who always asked. So we're just going to finish up on this little ornament here, round some things up, and we'll be good to go. But the topic for today is, what was your first job ever? Like, where you got paid. Not stuff like mowing the lawn for your mom, but like your first job. What was that? What did you do? So, my first job was mowing lawns, I believe. Back in the day, I think I could drive when I had the learner's permit, and I could drive when I was 14, and I would go around and mow people's yards. And I remember the first yard I had was our neighbor's, and I think I got like $2 or something. It was ridiculous, but it was so hot. She was a nice lady named Ella, I think a widow, and mowed her lawn. It was so high. I'd make one pass and it would fill up the bag, and I'd have to dump it in the back of my truck. And that was the first job I had that I can remember. It's hard to hit someone when they know that my stress management is bad for obvious reasons. Thanks. So yeah, just if I get stressed with wood carving, Joshua, I actually just go for a walk, put it down for a while. Yeah, that's what I do. And I try to use my wood carving and woodworking as a stress reliever. So if something goes wrong, and I know it always is, I just kind of let it go. I try to anyway. Sometimes I don't, but most time. Move this over here. So yeah, probably Saturday, tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Friday? Yeah, so tomorrow, well, we may paint tomorrow. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think I've got all the paints. I sure hope I do. I'm getting ready to start. I think we're gonna do the bear next, is what I'm thinking. If you had a sidewalk, yeah. I usually just go around my yard, look at the sky, try to relax a little bit. So just like the other one, we're just kind of cleaning it up. And I think one of a YouTube video I watched helped me. They explained you take out the shadows, so you kind of look where like a fold of the hat would be and where the shadow would be, and that's what you carve. And I thought that was great advice. So just rounding that out a little bit. Need to clean up around his nose. Yeah, that would ruin your day. That'd make me more stressful, stepping in some dog piles. So there we go. There we go. There it is. Round some of this mustache up. You know that I found that these couple weeks where I've been carving, I haven't been watching much news at all. So that's a good thing. Round this up, kind of get some of the flatness off of it. Yeah, Avery goes, first job is doing yard work and fixing stuff up for the neighborhood and for the neighbor in the summer. Yeah, that's right. Used to work for Mr. Mickey doing stuff. That was some of that was pretty tough. Yeah. Rounding this fringe of the hat up a little bit. So right here is why I wear the leather. There we go. So Avery, you've been streaming anymore with your Twitch handle? So the cool thing is these, when I paint them, you don't really have to. I mean, some people do, but I never. I mean, you can. When I do the big pieces, I'll spray them with a matte spray, and then I'll paint them, and they look pretty good. But for these little ones, I just usually paint them and put the antiquing on them, and then I'm done. And then on the big ones, a lot of times I'll put a finishing wax that my dad got. I like the way it's not doesn't make it shiny, but it makes them, puts a little sheen on them. So Eva I did not know that she worked at the Valley Manor as a dishwasher. Exciting. So Avery said stream some 2 days ago, getting his homework done so he can stream tonight. Good. That's good for your priorities there. So yeah, I forgot about a lot of people worked at the manor. Eva, is it still there? Is there still a manor in Rossville? I don't even know. I haven't been back since Mom and Dad left. I think our 30-year reunion is coming up. I don't know if that's going to happen. So I think they were going to do it during the Tall Corn Festival, and that was it's in August, so maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I still remember in high school we went to the manor and we sang, because that was the thing you did. Is wherever you did a choir program, you went and did some of it for the people in the manor, and we sang the song from Les Mis about life has killed the dream you dreamed to these people in the manor. And I'm just like, this is the worst song ever. And I think somebody even coded during our song, and they just kind of wheeled them out. I'm like, the last thing they heard was us singing "Life Has Killed the Dream You Dreamed" from Les Mis, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that wasn't very appropriate. I still remember that. Wow. Les Mis. Gosh. So Eva says, your 40 year is this year, and Colton's 10 year for class reunion. Yeah. I saw some stuff on Facebook about it, and it'd be weird to go back now that Mom and Dad aren't there anymore. So a dishwasher. But that'd be hot and not very fun work. Because after, so I worked mowing lawns, and then I got a job in junior high with Red Par, working in the fields, Rogan soybean fields, with Shannon Driscoll and a bunch of older guys. Got an education there. That was tough work. Howard Parr. It was Howard Parr. Red Parr was his dad. But yeah, working in the fields, and I would ride my 10-speed to his house and then get on the farm trucks. So Eva says they're supposed to be in Chicago, so we'll see if we make it. Yeah. I had a friend who had tickets to Hamilton, and they had to cancel it because of the stuff going on. We were supposed to take I had a conference that I was speaking at, and I had gotten train tickets to St. Louis, and Jody and I were going to do that, a train ride, and that didn't happen. So Joshua's first job was Army. Okay. And then I worked for good old Wiener's IGA grocery store all through high school. That was fun. That was a good job. One time we did get in an egg fight in the back room. Gosh, that was pretty wild. There we go. Getting there. About 17 minutes. Finish some of this up. Yeah, both of your boys worked for Jimmy Gentry. Doing farm work, wasn't it? Isn't that what it was? All those Gentrys, it's hard to keep it straight. You guys had the whole town. Kristen says, my first job was at Papa Murphy's making pizzas. Do you miss that, Kristen? I had a friend of mine who used to manage one, and that was tough work. Making the pizzas. Has Papa John's been around? Papa Murphy's. Papa Murphy's. So Papa Murphy's. Is that where you make it and they take it home and cook it? Isn't that what Papa Murphy's is? I didn't know they were been around that long. I thought that was before your time, Kristen. Take and bake. Yep. Okay. So what did you, was it a good job, or was it like, I just have to have a job and this was the one I got kind of thing? Because when I grew up, most people, at least most of my friends, had jobs. I mean, I grew up in a farming community, and if they weren't helping at home, they usually were doing something else. I remember that first job where I was rogan soybean fields, those soybeans would grow together, and I could go for like a week or 2 weeks or something, and it would rip my jeans to shreds because we'd have to walk through them and they'd grow together, and I'd hate the first plunge in the morning in that cold, dewy soybeans. Like, blah. It wasn't very fun. I did get to drive the farm trucks. We had an old, not trucks, but we had an old International Scout with all the doors and the top off, and we would just beat the snot out of that thing driving through those fields. That's probably where I learned how to... I know Dad taught me how to drive, but I think I did a lot of driving there. And the coolest thing I remember when, like, Howard Parr or Red Parr would get out of town, I'd have to house sit for him, and I was like a young kid, and so I would be there in the house by myself. And they had a hot tub, and they had like one of the first mobile, like with the long extension phones on it, and with the metal like antenna you have to put up. And I remember sitting in the hot tub calling, I think it was my parents, and then my friends. I was like, guess where I'm at right now? No, I didn't ever have to cut cane. I mean, we'd have to go, we would go and get those thistles out of the cornfields, but it was mostly soybeans. It was mostly getting velvet leaf and stuff like that out of the soybean fields. So Jimmy's over on Periscope asked, how old are you when I first drove? I think I was 14. I mean, my parents were real sticklers because we were in a farming community, and a lot of people just let their kids go driving whatever, but I was only allowed to drive to and from work, and I think I was 13 or 14 whenever the learning permit thing came out and lets you do that. But my dad was also a pastor, so everybody would tell on me. I remember one time I squealed my tires out of high school, and by the time I got home, like 2 people had called my dad and told him I had been squealing my tires. And the other time, I remember one time I had one of those fake earrings, like that were metallic, those like little studs, and I put it on and drove to. It was when I was in high school, and I drove to school, and all these people saw it glinting in the light when I was driving to school, and had called and told my dad. So Kristen, about her job, she goes, it was decent enough. I liked that I didn't smell like grease or fast food at the end of the shift. Yeah, it was in the big city, 15 minutes out of town, so I had quite a few job companies to pick from, although I was way religious back then, and they were one of the jobs that didn't require me to work on Sundays. Yeah, I didn't do much working on Sundays then. We didn't even eat out on Sundays, like, because the stuff was closed. So, yeah. So what's Eric saying? Oh. It's not, Eric commented on my other post saying, Whiskered Woodcarver. Not yet. No. So sounds oppressive. Are you talking about me working in the fields? It wasn't impressive. It was a great childhood for me. Yeah, that's a small town for you, not just pastor's kids, yeah. It wasn't impressive. It was just small town. Not much to talk about, but they talk about you. But I had, I mean, it was a really good school. Like I've talked about before, I had some amazing teachers. Had a great woodshop teacher. So there was, there's pluses and minuses, anything. So Eric goes, my first job was an underage bartender. That sounds like an arrest warrant waiting to happen. So Kristen says, our tiny hometown is still that way to this day. Stores and restaurants are all closed on Sunday. Yeah. I remember when Grandma would come to church, and we'd go try to find some place to eat because she'd, take us out. We couldn't find any place. I think the Main Streeter was the only one. And that, I mean, we didn't have a lot of choices. when he didn't have any of the franchises. You'd have to go to Topeka for that. But we had the Main Streeter, which was on Main Street, and then the Swirly Top. So I had a lot of friends who worked there. Eva, is the Swirly Top even still there? So funny. Stuff I hadn't thought about in a long time. So Eric says his first time was an underage bartender. How did that happen, and where was that at? Or were you just mixing drinks for your friends? That doesn't count as a job. All right, about 10 minutes. Pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and draw some of the beardage stuff on there, just so I can see what I want to do. So no more swirly top. Probably for the best. I don't like that. I don't want to do that way. I like this. Yeah, okay. It's Casey's. Oh, well, Casey's. That was one of the only places where you could get pizza. I remember we didn't have a pizza place in town, and Casey's had pizza. But I think we had to go to Silver Lake for that. Yeah. Small town life, folks. It's amazing I turned out the way I did. So Eric goes back home in Rochester, New York. New stadium opened up, and I was hired to bring food and drinks to the VIP booths. Last they changed it and made me pouring beers. He was 18. Yes. Somebody get in deep trouble now for that. Yeah, Swirly Top had the big... They had a special burger because my friend of mine who worked there, Scott Boley, he would make it. There was was it the Monster Burger? Something like that. Some crazy name, and I used to get those all the time. Rossville, they had one of... I think it's still like a landmark. They had one of the only wooden high school stadiums. It's really cool. I think it's still there, last I heard, unless something happened to it, but that was fun to watch games on. This old, covered wooden stadium for baseball games, and that was kind of fun. I was by the Swirly Top. Yeah, first-time jobs, it's always fun. I think you learn when you do those jobs, like Kristen mentioned, the Papa Murphy's, and me working in the fields, and Eva washing dishes, that we kind of learn what we don't want to do the rest of our lives. We kind of know, hey, you know what? I don't want to do that. So I think it's always, we always try to make sure our kids had a job and worked. Both my kids have, and I think that's kind of important lessons to learn. I learned a lot of lessons. Not all of them good. Oh, it's a historical site now. Very cool. So Avery says, pushing carts in 100-degree weather is something I never want to do again. Well, you may have to, son. You may have to. Eric says, I had learned how to pour some beer, though. Yeah, if this social media thing didn't work out, you can always do that. Of course, no one will be there right now. Okay, I'm going to get the V-tool out. Where is it? There it is. This is, if you haven't seen this before, it's what it is a little V. So it's where I put the kind of do the beard marks with this thing. I'm going to do it on top of this because I don't want to, you just see me go in and making a nice little V in my nice computer table. Yeah, Abby did dog boarding. So that's one of those ones when I talked about, you kind of learned that you didn't ever want to do that again. Like Avery didn't want to ever do working in a grocery store. There we go. So Jim says, large hospital kitchen as a porter, mop and broom and lots of cleaning. Yeah, I can imagine. But I bet you'd learn how to mop them floors fast. Yeah, Abby said just the cleaning she didn't like. She liked the dogs. I knew that. When I was a firefighter, Jim, that was one of the things. I know if you don't notice, like they're always washing their fire trucks or cleaning, and I always, being the low person on the totem pole, I cleaned a lot of bathrooms and mopped a lot of floors in that firehouse. There we go. Yeah, Josh says he spent a lot of money boarding his dogs. Yeah, those boarding things aren't cheap. Some guys did it. Abby was telling me they would do it every day because they either worked and they didn't want to have their dogs at home. See that? See how much got close down there? I gotta be careful. I'm doing this and talking. I don't want to paint it red just yet. There we go. Then I usually take in those tracks that I just did, and I get my bigger V-tool and just kind of make them, just kind of gouge them out a little deeper for those main sections. See the top of my head. Sorry. Yeah. So like here, you can see those are those deeper V-tools. And then the antiquing, what it does is it makes those deep, dark shadows, which I think are kind of cool. So Joe says he mowed lawn, started when I was 9, still love to do it, and have friends that have done very well at it. In East Texas, lawn care is still a big deal. I have a friend of mine who actually, before I was married, I worked for doing lawn stuff here in Texas, and yeah, they do very, very well. I don't love to do it anymore, Joe. I'm not like you. I started doing the same thing. That was my first job, but we have 3.5 acres, and we keep the around the house mowed really. But I try to my field. It's kind of a pain to keep down. In fact, I need to do that this week. But if you like it, Joe, you're welcome to come here and mow my field any day you want. There we go. I think we're pretty close. 2 minutes. Let's see if we can get the top part of the hat here going. So we're just gonna score that a little bit. Governor says no way. There we go. I usually just do the top first because I can control a little better, and then I go around on the other side and then fill in the middle. Just doing these little happy little cuts around it. This is when we started the show with Joshua asking a question about what happens when I'm frustrated when I mess up. A lot of times when I'm cutting around the nose, this is the part where that could happen. My noses have been really grand and great on some of the carvings, and then all of a sudden they end up to be a button nose because I gouged it out or I sliced it off. So that's just part of creating stuff. There we go. There. All right, about a minute. We should be done, ready to go after this. I got to put a couple more things around the mustache, but Thinking that looks pretty good. These are just fun ones, like you want to sit around outside and, do some whittling. I don't think somebody asked what's the difference between whittling and carving. And I think when you bring out a tool, that's my definition. Is it's when you bring out a tool like a V tool, then it goes the next way. It's not just. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for stopping by. I think it kind of moves on from just whittling. So I'm just gonna put a couple little marks on his mustache. Hard to see. There we go. A couple on the side. That. There's some more on this side. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and. I know it's time, but I want to finish these right here. There we go. So there you go. That one's ready to paint too. So look at all we accomplished in one little day. So very cool. So I think we'll probably finish up a couple more little pieces on the penguin and some of this tomorrow, and then on Monday we'll start painting. As always, thank you guys for showing up. I want to say thank you for Joe stopping by, and of course Joshua Kennedy, all the people who stopped by. Eva, of course, always shows up. Appreciate that, Eva. And Kristen, of course, love having you stop by as well. And as always, we want to end the show with 4 things. Remember, we are apart but not alone. I want you to also remember to wash your hands, and then hug them if you can. Hug those people around you if you can. And lastly, please pray for our doctors and nurses on the front lines. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.